Hi guys, hope you're well. Welcome to DOdaily, Tuesday training. Des here, who's ready for that City Slickers solidarity session. Of course, that's coming up at 6:30, straight after this episode. Your chance to take part in whatever activity you choose, but by doing so at the same time as like-minded people who really enjoy what they do too. Right now, it's virtual, it's a solidarity session because we really need it to try and stick together as much as we possibly can. If you listened to Monday Motivation yesterday, you'd have heard me talk about why some of these activities are important, particularly to me, but it's important for me to try and get people together, try and keep that connection going despite the difficulties of what the coronavirus has thrown at us and the lockdown restrictions. We really need to make an effort to be a community, but to also be there for one another. It's a tough time right now. Lots of people are experiencing different things, and whilst I can pretty much stay on top of it, I still need all these sessions to really pick me up. Yesterday was a tough day for me. I spoke about how Jamie, a friend that had taken his own life 4 years ago, so it was a really tough one, and I really struggled to find that bit of motivation, but by remembering him and why I do all these things, eventually it got me out there, and I'm so glad it did. I'll come back to that shortly. And what I'm going to talk about today is kind of an experience I came across last night during my activity. But what I want to say before I sort of get into the details of that is I really wanted to be positive today, and whilst I'm not going to be negative, there's so many reasons to use some of these situations as a positive. I really wanted to give it a push because I don't want DOdaily to be consumed by grief and what's happened in the past. Whilst it's so important, and it is important to mention it, we can use it for so many positive reasons. I don't want it to be totally consumed by it, if you get what I'm saying. So I was hoping today to really sort of push on, start looking forward again, start planning towards the end of lockdown, seeing how we can adjust again to incorporate people in real life, as well as being virtual, as well as offering things like the solidarity session. But last night I mentioned there that eventually I got out. I was feeling a little sad throughout the day, but pulled myself together, remembered what I'd said during Monday Motivation, remembered how Jamie and all the things I tried to do on the back of that bad situation, and I went out for a run, and it was the bizarrest run I've ever been on, to be honest. I couldn't decide where to go. I kept changing my mind, doing different things, and when I got back, those of you who watch regular know I use Trent Bridge a lot. I was just finishing my run, and I ran past a guy who was looking over the bridge, and it all looked a bit strange. So initially I kind of carried on, didn't think too much of the situation, but when I finished I realised I had to go back and have a look what was happening. And unfortunately the guy was contemplating the worst. It looked like he was actually going to jump in, and I couldn't believe it. After everything I said yesterday, after all the sort of thought about how Jamie and dealing with that, it's hard to come to terms with it still today, and the irony of seeing somebody stood on the edge of a bridge contemplating jumping in, was really tough to take. But reality sort of kicked in. I called the police, who got there pretty quick and dissolved the situation, and I'm so grateful to them for that. But it really shook me up. It's really left me a little bit shaken. I was really upset last night. Whilst I kind of kept myself together, whilst I kept myself together. I said to Kay, I just almost felt like bursting out into tears. It seemed like a lot from the thinking in the day and what happened there, and the shock of it, and the irony of it really sort of knocked me for six again, and really put me back into a place where it was just horrible. I envisaged certain things, didn't have a great night's sleep, but it just shows, doesn't it, that the problem's always there. Whilst we've done lots of things to well, I've done lots of things and created lots of things to come to terms with the loss 4 years ago of somebody I knew, somebody who I was getting to know even more. Do you know, it doesn't stop there, does it? It doesn't stop at people you know. It doesn't stop people in your circle. Do you know, it's happening absolutely everywhere, and it just really hit home again how big the problem is, how many people are suffering. We're all suffering because of COVID in our own way, but unfortunately some are suffering, it's not a competition, but more severely. Do you know, it's more serious, and we just need to keep looking out for people. And I say it every week about the solidarity session. That's a chance just to check in, do you know, look what people are doing, see who's on top form. I get the opportunity to do that by seeing who posting pictures. Do you know, I check out runs on Strava and other apps, do you know, and I can just see who's really sort of feeling it. And I think it's important on the back of that situation is to remember that it is so important to check in. It's so important to keep doing these things, do you know, and that's what I kind of want to use that story for, do you know, other than sort of being a reminder of how bad the situation is. Do you know, I could have kept that to myself. I could have sort of mulled over it and then used it to sort of try and remember why I do things. But what I want to do is remind others about staying connected and doing what we're doing. If you can get involved in what we do, you know, it can do so much for you. Some people sometimes question it, but it's all about connection, isn't it? It's all about stopping on top of the situation and giving it a real go, you know, because unfortunately situations are still arising like that. You know, I never thought I'd see that in my life. You know, I've been not too far away from it in the past. I've never been right on top of it like that, and it really, really hits home watching somebody so desperate, so feeling it so bad for as bad as I felt yesterday. I can't imagine the way the other person felt, and I think it's really important to pass that message on. I always say we will talk about mental health, we will talk about the benefits of what we can get from physical activity in terms of a mental health, and it is all about encouraging physical activity, but looking at such scenarios, looking at how we can use positive situations to give it a real go, give us a chance of being happy, safe and secure, you know, because that's all I want. I want people to go out there, get in a good activity session, get the benefits from it, let it put a smile on the face, feel part of a team, feel like they're doing something really, really good for themselves and others, you know, and then take it forward. Like I say, I don't want all this to be consumed by negative things, bad thoughts, what people are doing. What I want is for us to really enjoy what we do, you know, make the most of it and have a good time, because that's the important thing, isn't it, you know. But what I will say on the back of everything is just be that little bit extra vigilant. Do you know, I could have easily have sort of disregarded the situation, moved on by and not thought too much about it. I actually noticed other people do that, do you know, and I had that second thought. Obviously it was all fresh in my mind what had happened to Jamie, and I had to go back and check, and fortunately, you know, by doing that, it could possibly have changed somebody's life. You know, I'm not looking for any credit for that. I done what any normal person would do. You know, I did the right thing, and that's all it's about, isn't it? It's about doing what you need to do to help people. You know, if you can inspire and motivate and take part in things to keep people on a high, to keep them feeling part of something, why not? Let's give it a real go tonight. Let's get involved in this activity session, whatever you choose, even if it's just a walk. I've arranged to walk with a friend, do you know, and that's important for me to do as the solidarity session. I've not seen a friend for a few months, so it's going to be great to catch up, do you know, and that's fantastic, isn't it? I don't know what that person's feeling, they probably don't know what I'm feeling, so it'll be great just to touch base, and if any action needs taking, we can do that, can't we? We can move forward and we can be positive about it. Like I say, despite everything that's been said, let's be really, really positive. Let's use what's happening. It does seem so much more positive out there right now. The news, you know, the coronavirus, the weather, there's lots of things to look forward to, you know, and look forward to all those things we can do in person again, but for now it's about this solidarity session and getting involved in that. So if you can, guys, post up your pictures, I'll share them across the story, tag us in Tuesday training solidarity session. I'd love to see as many as we possibly can. Let's give it a real effort today. Let's remember the people who are suffering, the people who we've lost as well. You know, that's definitely going to be on my mind. So post them up. If you like the video, please give it a share, like, you know, check out yesterday's if you haven't. Really important for me to speak about these subjects, so it'll be great if you can watch it. I'll be ever so grateful. Until tomorrow and the Wednesday workout, we'll touch base on how the steps are going, which is fantastic, by the way. The steps challenge, we'll touch base on that. We'll speak more about why that's important and whatever's going on. Hopefully no dramas today. Until then, just doing it.